Hey guys, Melissa here. In this video, I'm going to show you how to wrap small faceted gemstones. This one happens to be a heart-shaped peridot, which I happen to wrap in gold fill wire. If you saw last week's video, I made these cute little peridot heart earrings. So it's the same concept, but I went ahead and turned this one into a pendant. So if you want to see how I made this, just stay tuned and I'll show you how. Alright, so let's get started. Right here I have my little faceted peridot, and this measures about 6 millimeters. I've already made my peridot earrings, and today we're going to make a pendant to match. So I'm going to stick with my gold fill wire, which is 24 gauge square, and that's dead soft, and my half round wire is 22 gauge. So to start off, I'm going to cut off 3 lengths of my 24 gauge square, trying to straighten as I go. And I'm going to make them all 3 inches. So here's 1. Here's 2. And 3. I cut myself 2 pieces of painter's tape. I do that to help keep my wires in line, because the next thing I do is I line them up, get my squares nice and snug next to each other without twisting or turning. See how flush they are? I'm going to cut this piece of tape in half. Gently. Put your tape on. Keep your wires straight. Go to the other side and do the same thing. So that just helps you keep your wires in line. Next, I'm going to cut off about a 4 or 5 inch strip of half round wire. We'll see how far this gets us. I'm going to take my end and I'm going to put a little hook on it, a little off kilter. Go about the center of my wire bundle here, and I'm going to hook it on. I'm going to press it down. I'm going to bring this end up and over. Press that down. I've gone 1 full rotation. I'm going to adjust this end here. I'm going to lift it up because I made my hook too big. So I'm just going to snip off a tiny bit here. Tighten it up. Press it down. And then continue on here. I'm going to make 3 full wraps on the neat side. Oops. This side is where I end my wrap, so this is kind of the ugly side. I'm going to snip it and then press it down. And here's my 3 wraps. Come through and then opposite corners and give it a little press to tighten them up and straighten them out if need be. Like that. Okay, next we're gonna shape our wires to fit the stone, which means we're gonna make it a point. If you're using an oval or a round, you'd round out the bottom by using one of these or something else round to wrap it around. But since my stone has a point, I'm gonna make this a point. So I like using my flat nose pliers and then just bending it. Let's see how this angle is. It's a little too much. That looks better. At this point, it's safe to take off your tape, but save it because you'll use it again in a little bit. Be careful not to misshapen your wire. Your back wires, you want to lift up a little bit. You come through with your flat nose. Lift them up at like 40 degrees or so. Go a couple millimeters out and bend them back. And you're going to bend them back towards the other wires so they line up again. And this little gap you're putting in there is going to accommodate for the back of your stone. Since facets aren't flat, they'd have a Q-lip behind them, which sticks out, so you need to accommodate for that on your cage, and that's what we're doing here. That will be more than enough, but we'll adjust them later. Just bring your back wire back to the other wires. And kind of do the same for the front, but you don't need to be as dramatic. The table of your stone is going to fit in between here, the front wire, and your middle wire. So you just got to make a little bit of a gap here, not too much. This stone isn't that big, so don't need much room. I just did that with my round nose pliers. So I don't want to put a big angle into these like I did on the back wires. Okay, so now that I got my wires shaped, I'm going to put my tape back on. Make sure my square wires are flat just like they were before, seated next to each other, nice and neat. Alright, and then we're going to put on side bindings. So I'm going to grab my half round wire. Same as before, I'm going to put a little hook in it, kind of tilt it off to the side. Hook your wires, make sure the end is facing the inside of your wires. Open them up a little bit. Turn it. Now for these, I'm going to go twice around. Snip it. And then press it back down again. To straighten your bindings, you can grab corner to corner. Give a little press. Let's do the other side. Look towards the inside. Start bringing it over. Looks like it's too long once again. I'm going to trim mine now. Press it down, tighten them up. Our two bindings are on. Obviously they're crooked. Let's bring this guy down. And take our tape off again, gently, before we bring them together too far. This one's curved and this one's not, so I'm going to try to curve it a little more so they're equal. And then I'll press them together. Front side down, I'm going to try to get it seated in here. That was a nice pop. Okay, so this is how you want it seated. That's the front, and you want the table seated in between the front and the middle wire, and you want the back wires protecting the culet, which I think is pretty good. Once we get this stone in here steady and locked in, we might have to bring our bindings down to help tighten things up. Let's go through the back and tighten those guys up. That looks pretty good. Seems pretty locked in here at this point. Alright, where's the rest of our half round? This should be enough to get us through. So I'm going to put another hook in it. This time I'm going to bind all my wires together. Make sure everybody's straight and not overlapping. You're going to come in from the back and hook that baby right above one of your bindings. You're going to come through and wrap everybody together nice and snug. You can do one full rotation and come through and tighten everybody up. Maybe one more time around. Oops. No overlapping. Pull it out the one side nice and taut. Alright, press it down and find your front wires here. Well, that's not it. That one's it. And pull them forward, and that will lock in your coil or your bindings. Do the same in the back. Find the very back ones. Here's one. Here's another one. That'll keep your little binding down and locked in. Okay, so your middle wires here are going to make your veil. You can leave them bare, or if you feel you got enough half round, you can try to wrap them. With your half round that you got left over, let me see how far I get. I might not get very far. I didn't get very far. I'm going to snip it right here. If you want to wrap your veil, just make sure your half round is long enough. Mine's going to be bare. I'm just going to make this a nice and simple, clean pendant. I'm just going to crisscross them and bring them to the back nice and tight. I even come through with some pliers to press them snugly backwards. I'm going to crisscross them in the back and then make them nice and tight. So those cover the ends of your half round wire that you cut off. These I'm going to snip off right here towards the side and press them so we don't see them from the front. And then with these guys, pull them nice and snug and press them straight down. We gotta make our bail now, so we're gonna press these two forward. those guys to either side. And then lock in your bail. I'm going to take these and I'm going to bend them back up again. You can leave it like this, or if you like to flare your little bail, you can do that too. For extra security, I brought these bindings down, and that tightens up your wires here to hold the stone in more securely. And since they were so far up here, I had to do that. That's why it looks a little different. I felt the stone was moving around a little bit too much, so if that happens to you, snug your bindings down closer to your stone. And this is what the side looks like. See how my back wires are protecting that culet? All right, so I guess I'm done with this little guy. My question of the week is, what's your favorite birthstone? This one here happens to be August. Mine is February, and that's amethyst. So what is your birthstone? And do you like your birthstone? Let me know in the comments. And as always, if you like this tutorial, please give me a thumbs up. Again, leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell. I make new videos each week. Have a great week, and I'll see you next time.